The people who win with AI are the people who capitalized on the internet, the mobile, online shopping.
What are the key ways for someone that's new to AI to make money? Like, what's an accelerator strategy?
Whether AI is around or not, my advice would be the same. Get shit done. Just do the stuff. Do the daily, weekly, monthly, boring stuff. That's how you win.
Allan Dib, best-selling author of The One-Page Marketing Plan and Lean Marketing, selling millions of copies globally. He's had multiple 8-figure exits, and now he's here to talk about how he's helping businesses around the globe implement AI through marketing and operations.
You know, a lot of people talking about layoffs, it's going to replace people. I've spent so much time, money and energy hiring really good people, training them. I just want for us to crush, not to replace them and save a salary.
If you stripped away all of the AI tools tomorrow and you could keep one habit or thing that you could do with AI, what would that one thing be? Global best-selling author of the One-Page Marketing Plan and Lead Marketing. You'd be coming up on a couple of million copies sold now. The reason I've got him on here, though, is not to talk about the backstory, not to talk about the journey. This is a guy who's had multiple 8-figure exits. He's using AI inside his business right now, and he's helping businesses of all types around the globe implement AI through a marketing lens, through an operations lens, and basically to get more customers or get more money, save more money, add customer value and improve your life. So that's really where I want to start. I just want to get straight into the value, Allan.
All right.
So, mate, welcome to FlowZone. Second time up for you.
Thanks, man. Always a treat to talk to you.
Yeah, it's a treat. It's also a treat. Like, I just love the second date. I reckon, like, you know, we can take things further here. But the audience has been craving this. I literally rushed down. We've booked this studio. So thanks for fitting it in. I know you travel all over the world. You're hanging out with global authors. And to be giving time to this audience, because my FlowZone audience is very similar to an audience you're working with every day. A lot of entrepreneurial thinkers, a lot of business owners, but people inside businesses as well with that growth mindset.
Yeah. Okay,
so I think for today, what people are going to walk away with is how to make more money using AI, save money using AI, increase customer value inside their business, and ultimately live a better life, whether it's a founder, a leader, or an employee, because of the use of AI. Yeah. I'd really like to be able to look at it for like beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. So look, just tell us firstly, like in your business, in lean marketing, the global business, which I'm actually now a client of since the last episode, and I'm fucking impressed, I've got to say.
That's awesome.
Like, what are you doing right now when people come to you? What are they usually saying? And what are you giving them as like the first tranche of where we start?
Yeah, so a lot of what we're doing is seeing how can we shorten the time to result. So we've got a program which you're part of, but there's an intro program, we call it Launch, which used to be a 12-month program. So people would, you know, spend time with their coach, getting their messaging right, getting their target market right, all of that. And that could take 12 months. Some people did it faster. Some people need more time. And we're like, you know, how do we use the AI technology to just shrink that? And we've managed to shrink that to 4 months now, from 12 down to 4. So we're able to get the client a result faster, which makes the program more valuable to someone. So if you can get a result faster, that's by default more valuable.
Bloody hell, to reduce something to a third of the implementation time. Now, we're not talking about minor things here, right? No. Like when we came to you, I'd already done a lot of work on our ideal client profile. You know, we had vision, mission, values, like our purpose. Yeah. We were pretty clear on what we needed to do. We were just really stuck in getting it done.
Yes.
But you were able to pull it into this really simplified process, because we used scaling up, and it was actually going to make it even simpler than that with the one-page marketing plan. Now, tell us how you're doing that, because you've got an AI tool for this, and I think it's a free tool. Yep. Can we put this in the show notes? Can people get access to this?
Yeah, we've got a tool for our client, exclusive for our clients, which helps you create copy and all of that. That's for our clients. But we've got a tool that will help you put together a one-page marketing plan for free. And of course, we'll make that available to everyone here. So that one-page marketing plan tool, we did that again because of necessity. So we would have people download the one-page marketing plan template. They'd be like, all right, awesome, I'm going to do my one-page marketing plan. And then they're like, oh, I'm not sure what to do there. I'll do that later. Didn't get around to it, right? So many people like have good intentions, but maybe didn't get around to it. And we're like, okay, now we've got AI. We can create a tool that will, in 5, 6, 7, 8 steps, take you through a whole bunch of questions, ask you a bunch of stuff about your business, plug in your website, and then we can get you to like 80 or 90% of the result in like 15 minutes, right? So,
Whoa,
yeah.
whoa, bro. No. So like, because this, I kind of know the structure of this, but I want you to explain it to the audience. What are the 9 boxes of the one-page marketing plan? Because I think this applies to beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Everyone needs to look through this lens. What are the boxes?
Yeah, so if you're visualizing a single page, it's target market, it's message to your target market, it's media, then it's lead capture, lead nurture, conversion, and then finally delivering a world-class experience, creating upselling and increasing customer lifetime value, and then finally orchestrating referrals.
Right. So is that kind of broken into sort of before, during, and after? Is that how it works?
Exactly. So there's the before, the during, the after. So before is before anyone knows that you exist. Then after, during is somebody's put their hand up and said, you know what, I'm kind of vaguely interested in what you've got to offer. So maybe they've clicked on your campaign, maybe they've called your office, whatever it is that they're responding to piece of content that you've put out there or an ad that you've put out there. And you want to take them from being just vaguely interested to buying from you for the very first time. A lot of people feel like, hey, once someone's bought from you for the first time, your marketing is done, right? But the real money is in the after phase. You know, how do you deliver a world-class experience? How do you increase customer lifetime value? How do you create and orchestrate referrals? So that's really where the money is made. We call that the back end.
That's where the flywheel spins faster.
Exactly.
And like, I think there's there's not enough talk about enterprise value. Like we're all sort of talking about top line rev because we're used to these founder stories. Yeah, I had this big exit. A lot of them are tech companies.
Yeah.
And even service industries talk about top line rev. Like if you take out the cost of goods sold and have a look at the overheads, they're actually making next to nothing. The founder's actually sort of supporting everyone else's jobs, but they're not getting anything themselves.
It's about the leftover, not the turnover.
Leftover, not the turnover. I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So if someone is, I'm going to, under this framework, right? Because I think one-page marketing plan and your AI that's going to help with that you're going to put in the link to the notes here is going to be very valuable. Let's start with make money, right? Make money. What are the key ways for someone that's new to AI to make money? Like what's an accelerator strategy you can use to make money if you're new? We're going to go beginner, intermediate, advanced.
Yeah. So make money is about, we want to attract the attention of our ideal target market. And, you know, to date, you know, there's been many ways to do that. You can do organic, you can do paid media, you can do all sorts of stuff, but it's been difficult. It's been expensive, and you know anything that you've got to create creative. So, like for example, to run ads. Like I was talking to a friend last week. So I had a conference, and we got together with some friends who are, you know, just crushing it in the marketing space. And he will run hundreds of different meta ads to see the one that will work. And he's generating like hundreds of ads at a time. And he does that because sometimes just a one sentence change in the copy will make a huge difference. He's like, the weirdest stuff creates conversions that you wouldn't believe. So like, he's like, if you have a landing page with someone holding a microphone in the background, doubles the conversions. I mean, how would you ever know that unless you ran hundreds of tests? And to date, or, you know, previously you had to manually do those. You had to create the copy, you had to create the landing page, you had to create all the images and all of that sort of stuff. But using AI, he can generate 100 different variations and see, oh, hang on, this background, you know, converts a little bit better. This opening sentence converts a little bit better. So you can create hundreds of different variations very, very quickly to test what works and what doesn't work. So basically, it's helping you attract your ideal audience better, faster, cheaper. Now, that's just one example. Another example might be in helping you create content. So both you and I now are spending a lot of time building our personal brands, because we can talk about that a little bit later, because that's going to be a moat when it comes to AI. There's not going to be many different moats, but that's certainly going to be one of them. But again, to create content, you used to have a team of 20, 30 people, and some people still do. But with AI now, because we can generate scripts based on our framework, we can generate content, we can convert that, we can transcribe that, all the stuff that was super labor intensive that just took forever, took a lot of labor, a lot of time, a lot of energy, even like editing, right? So that's become dramatically easier with some of the tools. You used to have to be an expert editor, and I still recommend working with someone who's an expert editor, but more for their eye and for their taste, rather than pushing the buttons and doing the cuts and doing all of those sorts of things. Because now the technology, it's not perfect, but it's getting better and better and better, and it can do that so well. So there are many different ways that you can do that, and we can double click into any of those.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, there are two big categories, right? Like we're in the age of AI and personal brands. And I'll say that till I'm blue in the face because like it's playing out to be more true every time I say it.
Yeah.
So these two categories here, making like lots of iterations of content to see what performs. And look, I had a post that I did the other day on like tools for building a successful AI business.
Yeah.
Literally the same post with the reordering of which tool was talked about first and what was different on the screen. So like 5 variants of the same one. I don't know if I did different hooks or not. I can't remember. I usually record 3 hooks.
Yeah.
One of them's performed at 20K real views, right? Yeah. The rest of them have performed between 500 and 1,500.
Yeah.
Like the same freaking post, right?
Yeah.
Slight ordering changes, different things at the top. That same post on TikTok has just bombed.
Yeah.
Like it's too polished. It's like they're like, this is a fucking ad.
Yeah.
Right? So different strokes for different folks, different bullets for different guns.
Yeah.
What actual tools, like the how can we make lots of different content iterations? We know it's being done with AI, but like what is a tool that allows you to split up and create lots of, iterations of, carousel content or video content, whatever ones are hanging around in your brain right now?
Yeah. So for editing, some of my team are using Descript. So if you've ever used that, that's a great tool for editing content. For generating images at the moment, Nano Banana is really huge.
You like the Nano Banana, the Fast 2 one, the free one, or the Pro?
The Pro.
Like?
So we're using the Pro.
Yeah.
And then you can take still images from that and use a video generation tool like Kling. At the moment, it's creating amazing motion.
Is that Kling with a K?
Kling with a K.
Yeah.
And you can create cinematic video. You can generate audio. Sometimes, my editor, Dana's right here. And sometimes when I mess up something on a podcast or whatever, he's got a dub of my voice in AI. So rather than bothering me and taking me to the studio and say, hey, Allan, can you just re-record that sentence or that word or whatever so that we can have it clear, he'll just generate it with 11 labs, which basically reproduces my voice. And just for that little thing, sometimes, and sometimes for the storyboards, like he'll build the storyboards and then he'll create some of the script content and he'll have my voice read it out. Now, it's not perfect and we wouldn't use it on a production video, but it gives the team a good idea of what the narration's going to be, right? So now we've got a storyboard, we've got an actual narration of me or virtual me doing it, and then the final step will be me to just actually record it, because I do want my content to be authentically me. I don't want my stuff to be AI generated just yet. I'm not against that. Some people are crushing it with purely AI generated content, and nothing wrong with that. But for me, I want it to be really me. But it's helping the production process so much easier and quicker.
It's mind-blowing how far it's come, right? Like when 11 Labs started getting to it around maybe 2 years ago, everyone's like, oh, this is great, but it's still pretty robotic. And then you'd obviously have the kind of digital twin come up, which was the more avatar version of it. Back then, it was all about Mid-Journey for images, but they were more like the fantasy images. What you've just talked about with having like an audio dub of you sitting in 11 Labs, I think it's actually very kind on the audience to be able to spin out more content about what they're asking about. 98% of it is going to be you. But if you stuff up one sentence and it kind of breaks the paragraph, or they actually lose a bit of footage, that happens.
Totally.
I had a really big pod that I filmed in Sydney and they were a great team working on it, but they lost about 4 minutes of the pod. Like it just died in the file transfer. I would have loved to have just stitched that back together. Like I know what was being said.
Well, 11 Labs.
So 11 Labs. So this is something that you could basically, if you're going to use that that's kind of an intermediate skill, I would say, would you?
11 Labs is a super powerful platform for voice. So being able to dub your voice is one of the features. Another feature is transcription. So I use it extensively to transcribe video like YouTube or TikToks or whatever. We all spend a lot of time scrolling on TikTok or, Instagram Reels or whatever, right? I'm guilty of that too. But I use it productively because I'll come across it, like most people like just flicking. If I come across an idea, I never let an idea go without noting it down. Now, you're scrolling on TikTok. How do you capture that idea? So what I've done, I've created a little bot where I can send the TikTok to the bot. It'll transcribe it and send me the transcription of the actual TikTok video. And then I can do whatever with it. I can summarize it. I can create a LinkedIn article. And I'm not going to just take the output, the exact output of the AI, but it sparks an idea. Like I was watching a guy talk about McDonald's ordering machines the other day, and Rory Sutherland. And he's like, since they put the automatic ordering machines, they increase the number of orders because now when you're ordering from a machine, you don't feel guilty putting in 2 burgers or whatever, right? Whereas if you're speaking it to a real person, you're like, just a one burger.
Plus, you feel bad in line. Like I've got dietary preferences, for example, and you sort of feel a bit of pressure mounting after you've done 2 or 3. The person's stressed out. There's people behind you.
Yeah. So I thought, hey, that's a really good seed of an idea for a LinkedIn post. So rather than just trying to remember it or whatever, I just send it to my AI bot. It transcribes it. I've got it there. And now I've got an idea with the full transcript ready to go for when I want to write a LinkedIn post, an email, or whatever, right? Maybe it's an idea that goes in one of my next books or whatever. So I become a collector of ideas and I've got a systematic approach of doing that. So I'm leveraging the technology to just make it faster and easier. Now, back in the day, I might have had to, pause it, go to my note-taking tool, save it or whatever, and then maybe I only capture a small part of the idea. Here I can capture the whole transcript and use it a year later if I want to.
It's super valuable. Like, I use that for learning as well, my own stuff. And I'm also using it for my own content. Like I like long form as a platform because of the amount of context you can get into. So I need to get a YouTube transcript of my own stuff. And then I upload, I use Claude Cowork for this stuff. So I've set up like a set of skills that's always on, and I just I right click on the 3 dots. I get the transcript out of YouTube, copy transcript, put it in.
Nice.
And what it does is it then goes and packages me up like the coming soon kind of clips that I can do on stories. It gives me a TikTok where I can download about it. Now it's all my thinking and I will discern it and change it if I want, but how close it gets to where I want to be is amazing. Like most of that stuff before was just paper shuffling, handling. I had an EA doing it. It was always a stress getting the LinkedIn post out on time and then cutting the video to 15 minutes. That can literally be packaged up in Claude Cowork. There's a bunch of skills now and it's a bit safer than say OpenClaw. How did you build your little bot that's doing the transcription for you? Which platform?
That one I just simply used Zapier and it's connecting to 11 Labs for the transcription. And then sending an email, basically capturing an email, and then it plonks it onto my Google Drive. So I've got a Google Drive, and it'll actually download the actual TikTok. So if I ever want to refer it to it again, I can watch the video, and I've got the transcript, and it'll summarize the whole transcript in the name of the file. So it's really, really easy. If I'm like, because like now I've got hundreds, some maybe even thousands of these files in my kind of ideas folder. I'm like, that one about the McDonald's. So I could just search McDonald's in that folder and it'll find me that video and the transcript of it.
Yeah, well, it's nearly impossible to find videos and reels again once they're kind of 2 days old. Like you look at the amount of content that's going out now and then what do you search? Do you search the hook? Do you search the title? Do you search what it was about? They're going to just serve you up anything. Well,
and I might use that idea in a year. Like, but I want to always bank up ideas because, I'm creating content all the time. So that's just a really simple little automation using AI. But 11 Labs is a really powerful voice platform. Part of it is you can create agents with it, like a voice agent that'll actually like ring somebody. And if you've got a lot of context, so it can even make like book a sales call for you or
like an outbound setup.
Like an outbound setup. It can take inbound or outbound. So you can get pretty sophisticated with these tools. Most people kind of only kind of touch the surface, but a lot of these tools, like they'll expose the basic features to most users because that's what most users can handle. But below the surface, they get really, really deep and there's amazing, amazing uses for some of these tools.
Yeah. And look, I think there's something I really want to sort of emphasize for our audience, which is blended between, early users, intermediate and quite advanced builders. Is particularly for early users and intermediate that like the interfaces that things come with are based on what they believe most people are going to want. And they adapt it to what most people are actually using and requesting. And eventually those become mainstream features, sort of like how Apple works with the App Store. They let everyone else put their apps up, they see what's possible, and then every now and then they buy one or build their own. And Woolworths do the same on their shelves. They see what's selling and then they make their own brand of it, which has got a better margin.
Totally.
So, really encourage people to look below the surface, but people say, how do I look below the surface?
Sure.
My experience share on this is ask the AI you're using how to look below the surface on the AI that you want to use. So for example, if your favorite LLM's Claude, like mine is, then I'd be asking Claude, hey, I want to go deeper on 11 Labs. I heard on my podcast from Allan Dib. Yep. Here's the transcript of Mark Kentwell's FlowZone podcast.
Yep.
Pop it in here. I want to do this thing with 11 Labs. I want you to walk me through it step by step and actually even give me screenshots of where I go to on the menu.
Yep.
And I want you to use all of your kind of live computer skills to kind of search things up. And if you've got co-work set up, actually to do it for me, get it to the point where you are extracting files and folders, and whenever you need me to do something, just prompt me. Now, that's about as simple as a prompt needs to be to actually get an outcome like that. And it could be 3 or 4 hours of build, and then you've saved yourself 3 or 4 hours a week from then on.
Yeah, so there's 3 levels of kind of AI at the moment. So there's level 1, which is kind of chat. So I'm chatting with the thing, I'm asking questions, it's giving me answers. It's kind of like a better Google, right? So that's where probably 90% of people are. Then above that, there's automation. So automation is kind of like what I was saying that I do with the TikTok videos. I share the TikTok video with my little automation bot. It downloads it, it transcribes it, it dumps it in a Google folder. It's kind of like a known process, and it just does that over and over and over. And that's really powerful. So automations that people do might be to pull a contact from a CRM. It may be to send an email when this person does that, a Slack message or whatever. So it's essentially responding to a process. And then the third level is agents. And agents kind of do stuff where there's no finite answer or no maybe exact instructions or recipes. So like automation needs an exact instruction and recipe. It's like, when this happens, then do that, then do that, then do that. And that's great. That works really well. But what an agent is like, hey, solve this problem for me. It's kind of like an employee. Hey, Mark, I need this problem solved. Go forth and do it. And it then will figure out a plan and it'll iterate. Sometimes it'll ask you whether you're happy with that plan and you just say, go ahead. Or, you know, some of the more advanced tools right now, like you mentioned, OpenClaw, will just figure it out and go through and just do it. So that's starting to get really, really exciting there, where you can just ask for the end result and not have to come up with even the process, and it'll just try and figure it out.
Are you fucking around with OpenClaw?
Of course I am. Of course, you know I am.
I'm deliberately staying on co-work for now, because now they've got dispatch. It's a bit more authentic. But I can't wait to rip in, but I just want to get more out of the agent inside Claude.
Yeah.
But what's an example of what you're doing on OpenClaw right now?
So right now I'm getting it to join our team Slack, and just, you know, right now, I'm messing around with it. I'm not using it for any production code at the moment. But for example, one of the things, like the other day, I was talking to one of my team members. I'm like, hey man, can you just clone this landing page for me and just change this and change that and change that? And he's like, yeah, no worries. I'll just get onto our copywriter, John, and I'll talk to our head of marketing, Joe. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just ask the OpenClaw to do that? And it's like literally logging into the web platform. It's like editing the copy. It's like doing all of the stuff. And I'm like, this is insane, because I mean, not only is it just making you more efficient, but it's making you faster. It's like, you know, something that, you know, I've got a big team and a really, really good team, but like, they're humans, right? They need to sleep, they need to eat. They've got other priorities as well. I'm not asking him just to drop everything and just do my stuff. I would if it was urgent, but I'm like, this is not super urgent, but I'd like it done soon. But hey, if I can get it done right now with a tool, amazing.
Yeah. Look, that's some of the power that's available right now. Absolutely available right now. So what about in getting clients, getting customers? Like, what would you say from sort of lead to signing them up?
Yeah.
Like what you did, I remember we were talking about conversational chatbots you were using to book discovery calls and that. How are you going with those?
Yeah. So where sophisticated marketers are really using them is to block leaks that are coming out somewhere in your funnel. So we've all got leaks in our funnel. So for example, let's say you're running an ad. Someone clicks on the ad, they go to the landing page, but they're like, you know, they didn't opt in. They, I don't know, didn't find it compelling or whatever. Or maybe they opted in, but they didn't book a call with your team. Or they booked a call with your team, but they didn't show up. So all of those are points where a prospect can potentially leak. So you'll have, say, maybe you've got a 60% show up rate. You know, 60% of the people who booked a call actually show up or whatever. So those are the 40%. That's lost potential revenue. So what a lot of marketers are doing now is using SMS and chatbots and even voice bots ringing you up. It's, hey, Mark, don't forget we've got a call with Allan in an hour. Make sure you've got this, that, and that ready, getting you ready. So where can you use SMS? Where can you use a chatbot? Where can you use a voice bot to actually remove those leaks in the funnel? And they're kind of like a stopgap. It's like maybe your landing page didn't tell the whole story good enough or whatever. And yes, you should actually go back and fix your landing page and you should make it better and all of that. But right now, this is kind of like plugging the leak with, a temporary patch until you can get to fix that. So, and you'll start to see more and more use cases. So basically what I say to clients, imagine the cost of labor was zero. What would you have people do? Like if you could hire another 100 people in your business, Mark, I mean, you would start going through your to-do list. Like right now you're prioritizing maybe the top 10 things for your team to do because, you've got a finite resources, finite team. But then, what's priority number 11, 12, 13, 14, 100? So you can now start knocking some of those things off your list because you can do them faster, or you can do them in an automated manner, or you can do them in an augmented manner where maybe you use a little bit of labor, but a lot of AI to do them. So that's how I see it used. A lot of people talking about, layoffs, it's going to replace people. I'm like, you know what? I spent so much time, money, and energy hiring really good people, training them, culture fit, all of that. I just want to use them for us to crush, not to replace them and save a salary or whatever. So how can we do 5x what we're doing? How can we do 10x what we're doing? If we can do that, I'll be much happier than just, removing team and saving a few bucks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we're going to talk about saving money, but I think making money is a way to save money.
Yeah.
Like your overheads don't look high as a percentage when you're making a lot more gross margin.
Yeah.
And like these things you're talking about, leaks in funnels, like AI to fix leaks in funnels is actually what we're paying a large percentage of most operative sales staff, marketing staff to do, operations and like legwork.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's not fulfilling work. It might feel like they're in a bit of flow because they're like, okay, when I do these 3 more steps, I know I'm going to be one step closer to getting the outcome. But if they could get the agent to do the steps, they do the first 10% with the instruction, they do the last 20% with the tidy up. Man, well, there's a 70% arbitrage there. Let's go and use that to help people become more valuable.
Yeah. And then there's, and the other place I'm using it is places where I don't have potentially fantastic expertise, but where I can use AI to kind of bridge that gap. So for example, I'm not a tax law expert, right? But, the other day I had an idea, what if I did this and I structured it this way and then whatever, would there be a tax benefit? And like, I can go back to my accountant and I will, of course, I'll verify what AI said to me. And I'm like, but here I can spend, 10, 15, 20 minutes brainstorming something. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way to do it. Maybe I should structure things this way. I could get, capital gains discount. I should move this debt from here to there or whatever else. And that's stuff that I'm not an expert at all. And normally I'd be leaning on experts like tax lawyers and accountants. And like I said, for the final, like before, changing anything permanent, I would absolutely consult with them. But if I can go to them with a plan that's kind of 90% done and say, hey, run your eye on this. Does this make sense? Anything that I've missed, any gaps or whatever, massive.
Oh, absolutely. And that is a saving right there. So we're transitioning to that. When you think about it, you need to make money. You need to do some things to make sure you're making money safely. But there's a lot of things. I mean, I had Adam Schwab on my podcast and I hear him talk on the Contrarians, which is a great pod, by the way, that he has with him and Adir Schiffman. And they talk about lawyers as a tax. Now he is a lawyer. He's a qualified lawyer. It's not his current role. He's co-founder of Luxury Escapes. But he talks about lawyers as a tax because in a lot of cases, we kind of need to go to them like we need to go to a doctor. But a lot of the staff is actually telling them what you want and then documenting what you want and then coming back and saying, here's the scope of what you want. But you've been charged for that whole process.
Of course.
Instead of saying, here's what I want to achieve. Here's the well-validated research that I brought to the table in a concise way of describing it. Can you pull this off and do you see red flags? Like that's a 4-5x arbitrage there if you even need to go to that step.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'll give you another use case that I use. So I love using AI to take a whole bunch of unstructured data and make it structured. So basically make sense of a whole bunch of data that I've got, which would just take forever to do manually. So for example, I'm into health and fitness now. I've been doing various kinds of blood tests and other tests and, colonoscopies and DEXA scans and all of that for the last 5 years.
How enjoyable. There's a couple of one-liners in there, surely, but we'll keep moving.
So I've got a Google Drive folder full of all of those tests in PDF format. And, some of them is from Dorovich pathology. Another one is from some other pathology. Some is just in some weird format the doctor put together. Some is an image scan. Some is whatever, right? So it's hundreds of files. And, for me to make any kind of sense on that, I'd have to get all that data in some sort of similar format, then try and find patterns, put it in an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. And, you're just not going to do it, right? So I put that into Claude Code. I exposed the whole folder in it. It spent probably 20 minutes analyzing it, extracting it, all of that sort of stuff. And it just gave some incredible insights. It even guessed what medication I was on based on my blood test result. It said, hey, your testosterone went from this to that or whatever. You must be on TRT or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, amazing. Like it guessed what medication I was just based on looking on the blood test results. And it's like, your iron has been improving, your vitamin D's, whatever, all of this sort of stuff. Hey, maybe there's this particular marker's a little bit high, just watch that or whatever. And so again, I'm not going to 100% rely on that right now, but I can take that to my doctor and say, hey man, can you just verify that this advice it's giving me is right and that I need to maybe watch my iron or whatever, that sort of thing. So
I love that. So I'm going to double click on a couple of these points just to get the tools you're specifically using.
Sure.
You've used Claude Code for that job,
Yep.
which is essentially you've given a command
Yep.
to file sort what you have there, get things into a format and then get them all read and then get it interpreted.
Yep.
And that's happening in 20 minutes instead of 20 plus hours.
Yeah, totally.
What are you liking for research? I've got some views on this, but I'd love to hear yours. You just said before, like the tax research, for example. How are you going in validating your opinions or asking it to get you an optimized outcome? What tool?
Yeah, so it depends on if it's research just based on like known knowledge. So for example, like a piece of tax research, I would just probably use just the Claude chat for that.
Yeah.
Or if I'm needing to scrape a bunch of data, like the other day, I wanted to get a list of all the best-selling books of 2025, 2024, 2023, sorted by the bestseller ranking, sorted by title, put it in a Excel spreadsheet, and just, hey, give me the Excel spreadsheet with 3 tabs with all of that. So for that, I used Perplexity Computer because Perplexity is really good at crawling the webs, downloading the stuff, and just doing the thing. So right tool for the right job. If I was had a legal query, I would just use like either Claude Code or Claude Cowork or Claude Chat, depending on if I had input as well. So if I'm just asking a question, it'll just be chat. But where the magic comes in is context. Like right now, I'm dealing with a legal matter. We've got some, trademark troll giving us trouble, whatever. So I've had probably 20, 30 different exchanges with my trademark attorney back and forth. There's been briefs filed in court, all of that sort of stuff. There's probably like 500 pages of documentation so far, and it's been running for like nearly 2 years. And so I dumped all of that again into a folder. I went into Claude Code and I said, hey, just give me a blow-by-blow summary of where we're at, what are the next steps, and what is our likelihood of success and what's the likely outcome. And again, blah, 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 blah. I spent 10, 15 minutes analyzing everything, reading the hundreds of pages. And again, like this is unstructured data. Some of it is emails between me and my attorney. Some of that is like court documents. Some of that is whatever. And it's all over the place. It's no single structure. And it goes through and it's like gives me a 15 bullet points. Okay, this is how it started, then this happened, then this happened. And it's like, look, you're in a very strong position. It's highly likely that this is going to work out in your favor and all of this sort of stuff. Here are some of the red flags. It's going to be essentially your legal costs of, defending this and all of that sort of stuff. So, and so basically gives me a 1-page summary based on hundreds of pages and back and forth for like 2 years and all of that sort of stuff, which Because like, I'm not thinking about this day to day, like every couple of weeks, my lawyer might send me an email. I'll respond, how do you want to do this, and respond. And that's been going for like 2 years. And I'm like, with all the stuff I'm up to, I'm like, where is that thing up to? Sort of thing. Yeah. So this is just giving me a nice bunch of bullet points, and it tells me what's going on.
You're inside Claude on that?
Yeah.
Look, I massively rate Claude for completing work. I've also found it pretty good for research. Yeah. But I agree with you. Perplexity, I've already recommended it on FlowZone before for people doing research on a client, research on a matter, research on property market or whatever. What a lot of people don't realize, like Perplexity actually aggregates other LLMs.
Yeah.
So if you have a look in there, what model it's using, you can put it on auto so it chooses, or you can choose which one it's going to be. Now, I've personally found, because I'm on Super Grok as well, I found Grok to be really, really good for research, especially if it's interrogating its own point. So there's one of its beta models at the moment. It's got 4 researchers that all debate with each other before they give you their answer, and you can see that happening. Inside Perplexity, you mentioned computer, which Perplexity computer is basically like Dispatch and Cowork is for Claude. Similar. So it's like the agentic one. There's a browser involved that can go and click things, find things. So I'm just sort of unpacking that for people, because I think I personally think Claude is the number one LLM for most use cases except images and videos at the moment. Yeah. What's your view on that as far as like overall, if you had to pick one to work with, would you say Claude?
That's my general go-to. I'm kind of a geek, so I'm mainly, work a lot with Claude Code. It's in a terminal, it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, it's not as pretty.
Yeah, but Cowork is essentially Claude Code with a nicer interface. So that's really powerful. I'll tell you the other thing that I'm doing that's really, really a massive game changer. Actually, before I get into that, I'll give you a bit of background. So imagine you were hired as an analyst in your favorite, agency, let's say ASIO or CIA or whatever, right? And you were tasked to maybe either predict or influence the behavior of a person of interest, right? So what do you think what kind of information do you think they'd give you?
To predict the behavior. They'd be scraping all the social profiles, any blog content, the family associations, the friend associations, the job they've got, stuff like that.
Yeah. So like they'd be building a file, a dossier on that person. So they'd be like, what's this person's financial situation? What debt does he owe? Who does he associate with? What's the psychological profile? Is this person like a psychopath? Are they like very risk averse, or are they very, risk on? If you've seen some of those CIA profiles, they're like hundreds of pages long.
Yeah.
Where does he live? Where did he used to live? Where was he born? When did he get married? What's his status right now? All of this sort of stuff. And I'm like, they use that as context to figure out what's this person going to potentially do next, but also how can we influence this person the way we want to influence them? So now flipping it back, AI is the analyst, right? And it's a very, very good analyst. Now, what we want to do is build that dossier on you for your AI to be able to use. And that's what I've started doing. So I've started creating a huge amount of context around my life. So for example, my health, my diet, my blood tests, my workout routine, just general information, when I was born, when I got married, what my goals are for the next year, financial data, basically everything that, someone in the CIA, if they were investigating me, would put together.
They love it.
Yeah, totally. I've even started doing like personality tests so that it knows, how am I likely to respond under stress, and how am I likely to respond not under stress? How am I likely to respond in my personal life versus my work life? All of that. And I've got this all documented in an app called Obsidian. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've seen it, but I haven't engaged with it much, no.
So what Obsidian is, like it's been around for years and years, and it's just a note-taking tool. There's nothing special. There's nothing AI about it. But for a long time, it's like a competitor to Apple Notes, or maybe.
Oh, that's right. I saw it in the connectors marketplace on a couple of the LLMs recently.
Yeah. So it's a competitor to like Apple Notes or like Evernote or Notion or whatever. But the special thing about it is it saves all the notes in Markdown format. And Markdown is like the native format for AI. So it's basically like a plain text format. And so I've got that in an Obsidian vault, and then I can just point Claude Code to it. And then when I'm asking it questions, so I might be asking, hey, what's the status of this legal issue, or a health question? Hey, you know what? I'm going to be like, for example, it knows my workout routine. So it knows, I do a 6-day push-pull legs. And I'm like, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be traveling in this place that just doesn't have a commercial gym. What exercises can I do that are body weight exercises similar to what I'm doing right now? And it'll go scan, it'll see what I'm doing. So it's got so much deep context on me, so it can give me quality personalized answers rather than just generic answers. Because like I could just go into Claude and say, hey, give me a 6-day body weight training program, but it'll just give me something generic. It won't give me something.
It'll give you an everyone program that's come from everyone's YouTubes or whatever.
Exactly. So whereas here, it's got deep context on me. It's like it knows that I had a back injury, about a year and a half ago. It knows, what kind of exercises I'm doing. It knows what I'm doing from a supplement perspective, from a diet perspective, from whatever, right? So it can give me deep personalized insight. And maybe right now, that maybe moves the needle by 20%, 30% better answers or whatever. But down the track, as the LLMs get better and better and better, this data is going to become just absolute gold.
Yeah.
So that's a tip I'd give everyone is start building that dossier on yourself and start documenting everything. Like, what are your goals for the next year? What are your financial goals? What are your personal goals? What are your triggers? What are the things that you want to overcome? What's your financial status and all of that? And again, you don't have to be super structured with it. Like you can dump in a whole bunch of unstructured data into it and let it sort it out. So that's just absolutely a superpower.
I agree. And I've got like 20,000 Apple Notes or something like that. I also used to use Evernote because it was very easy to link in via an email. So I just used to copy in anything that was like legal or important.
Yeah.
And so I've got Evernote. I am going to scrape it and I was going to put it in a markdown file. This is a great idea because it does actually integrate with a lot of the others through the connector marketplace, which is on, Claude's got one, Perplexity's got one. They've all got one now. You can just find them in connectors. I think the context that you're talking about, like I've found because I've been, it's kind of like blogging, but to yourself, like it's like Dear Diary.
Totally.
And like I've found when they opened up the long form voice prompt on, which I used to use ChatGPT obsessively, I barely use it now. I'm about to downgrade from Pro down to the one below, which is like, whatever it's called, Plus or something. But I used to use it because the voice transcription was quite good in that you could say a prompt up to 10 minutes and it would come out. It was already tidied up. I now use Whisper Flow for that, which works across every app.
Yeah.
But even just your iPhone voice notes or your Samsung voice notes, like I'll be walking home from a mastermind where I'm full of ideas.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to get my book out and start writing while I'm walking. Like I'm in the middle of the city, it's nighttime. I get the voice note, I'm just waxing. Like, and then I might even go on a tangent about something I've got to do in 3 months. I can sort of moan about some things in my life I'm not happy with. And it grabs all that. And then I just bang, copy transcript and dump it in. And then it does go into the right project. So it's got more context on me. But I found that it's very important to update your knowledge base regularly and keep putting it into Markdown. Because otherwise you're just amassing these huge amounts of Google Docs and everything. So, it's taking up a fraction of the space on Markdown, right?
Yeah. Markdown is a very efficient format, easily readable by humans, easily readable by AI. Like you can just open it in a text editor and you can see exactly the content of it. So like a Google Doc, you need to open it with Google or whatever, whereas Markdown can be opened by any piece of software.
Great. Okay, so we're just about to move on to stuff that's more in the saving category, even though there's been a couple here that will effectively save. I just want to double click on your chatbots. Do you have a particular brand of chatbot or tool that you're using? Have you gone custom with that when it's trying to get people booked on calls and stop your funnel leakage in your business?
A tool for chatbots?
Yeah, like one that's stopping funnel leakage and getting people booked back onto calls.
Yeah, 11 Labs Agents, it's called.
Yeah, great. 11 Labs Agents, guys. That's where we go because this guy's using it in a global business. And you're also helping other people doing it. That's the thing. You've got this done for you service, done with you service. And I remember talking to your global CEO, Anna Claude, and she said, like, we're a marketing company, but most of the work I do is ops, operations.
Totally.
People hear an idea on a book and they're like, I want to do this thing. And then it's like, well, there's the tool. And it's like, well, are you going to help me do it?
Yeah.
So that's a big unlock for you guys. What about in the saving money category inside a business? We don't have to spend heaps of time on this because I like to get into customer value as well. But like, what's an obvious saving that you've been able to get in business that used to just be an extortionate cost that you almost avoided things for?
So the stuff that's got kind of definite answers. So where AI really, really shines, especially large language models, is where there's stuff that there's a definite answer. So for example, for a legal question, for an accounting question, for code, you used to pay coders crazy amounts of money.
50, 500 grand.
yeah. I mean, to do an MVP, it wouldn't be weird to spend $500,000.
Yeah.
Like now you can probably knock one up in 10 minutes, right? And I'm not saying it's going to be the same quality of code. It could be, but again, it's kind of got that Dunning-Kruger effect. Like it's great for stuff that you don't know to get you to a mediocre level, but domain experts will still have the jump on the average person right now, at least. But stuff where there's it doesn't need kind of super creative answers, because the way that LLMs work is they statistically predict what is the next word in the result. So if I say the sky is, statistically blue comes after that. So legal documents is where you don't want some amazing creative writing. You want standard legal documents that anyone can read, that are easy to understand, that are easy to follow, whatever. So legal, accounting, coding, all of those things are just no-brainers where you can get a massive cost saving, especially if you're using external experts, and then just let the external expert validate and use that. So if you're wanting to validate a particular tax strategy, or if you want to fix up a legal document or whatever, 9 times out of 10, you can do 90% of the work internally instantly, and then just get the expert to just put the stamp of their approval right now.
Yeah, okay. Any areas where people think they're going to save money and like it's not really a saving when you're using AI instead?
I think you've got to be careful with it when it comes to copywriting. Like it's very easy to just say, hey, write me a LinkedIn post and make it viral or whatever, and it just comes out with just shit, right? You absolutely can use it as a writing tool, but I don't use it to generate all of the writing. I use it as a thought partner. I use it to validate some thoughts. I use it to help me, I've got a clunky sentence. I ask it to fix it, because there's so much slop out there, and you don't want to be just one of the people who are generating more slop. You want to be where your thoughts, your ideas, your experiences are unique. So if you're creating content, you want to use it in an intelligent way where it's helping you augment your skills. It's helping you tell your stories a little bit better. It's helping you improve things, but you don't want it to be like all the M dashes and the don't do this, do that, and all of this. And, it doesn't mean this, but it means that. And, those kind of obvious AI patterns. And there's shit tons of that stuff already out there. But we don't want more of that. So that's a place where you can still use it. You can still have a cost saving and accelerate, but it's not the way that most people use it. Most people use it just to create that slop.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, I think this is where having your kind of, in your customizations, having a really red hot system prompt that is basically speaking how you like to speak, the things you do and don't say. And a lot of people think that they don't speak like AI, but then you listen to you look at a transcript of a few things they've said, and they actually do speak a fair bit like AI, because AI is only replicating humans. It's not replicating itself. That you've got to say, well, I don't want to show up that way. And you've got to be really clear on that.
Well, the other thing, I mean, AI kind of statistically predicts the average. So if you are speaking close to AI, you're kind of probably not saying anything unique. You're not saying anything that's kind of going to be, clear. Like, it's like if I say, hey, communication is the key to good relationships, you're like, yeah, sure. I mean, you haven't said anything.
Thanks for the reminder.
You haven't said anything new, right? So like, what's a unique perspective to you? What's something contrarian that AI wouldn't come up with, right?
Yeah. And I think that's also where having huge context helps. Like, I've got contrarian views on a lot of things. Like, I've got a contrarian view that the buyers and tenants in Australia get treated like shit because most of our real estate's been for the owner side. Now, I've been involved in that same business, but I've always wanted to create a better experience by reducing friction on that side. And now it turns out that we need them more than ever. And if we don't start getting closer to the non-paying customer of what was traditionally a two-sided transaction with one side being served, then we're actually going to, basically be extinct or leave the door open for massive, destruction.
Yeah.
Now, that contrarian view has been building over 20 years. Yeah. And if I go and extract a lot of stuff that's public and have that in my markdown file that's sitting in a knowledge base, then when I want to say what's something I've got a contrarian view on, because I might need to sort of stand out a little bit, you can help me as a thinking partner on that.
Yeah, totally.
And then you can, like, one of the terms I like to use in getting my word count down, because I am high word count, I'm very big on context. But I've now got to go kind of concept first, which is more like the hook. And then I've got to get into the context and the content. I like to say, like, make every line earn its place.
Yeah.
Just 100%. So that way we're not kind of having this big treasure trove of information that everyone's just going to just glaze their eyes over.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. All right. Now, customer value. Like, there's so many opportunities to improve customer value or customer experience in every kind of business, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's a service company. Yeah. What are you finding AI is working for in your group of organizations and the ones that you serve is helping with the customer experience?
Yeah. So I'll give you one thing that's obvious and then one thing that's kind of a little bit counterintuitive. So the obvious thing is starting to package up your skills and your framework as AI skills that can really accelerate. So, in real estate, you've got, I don't know, how many years have you been in real
21.
estate? 21.
Yeah.
So you've got 21 years of experience in real estate. You've got specific processes and frameworks and things that are specific to you and your business. It's your way of doing that. Now, if you can package that up as an AI skill for your clients where they can get a result sooner, where maybe they don't have to talk to you as often or whatever, but they can get that result, or they're kind of worried and they can just ask questions and they can ask a virtual mark those questions. So packaging up your expertise. So what a lot of thought leaders are doing now, previously in the past, we packaged up most of our frameworks and intellectual property in videos, right? And the problem with videos is, it takes a long time to get through. They have a very low completion rate, like on average, maybe 6 or 7% of people will actually complete your video courses and things like that. So now what a lot of people are doing who are really at the forefront of this space is like creating AI tools that will just give you the answer, the TLDR, rather than having to watch 2 hours of video. Like, you could put 2 hours and hours of video of all of your frameworks, all of your knowledge. How do you buy a house? How do you find the right property? Where do you do it? All of that sort of stuff. And I'd have to watch, hours and hours and hours of video, and then I'd have to take notes and I'd have to figure out, make the decisions or whatever. But you can now package that up in an AI tool, your decades of knowledge in that area, and I can just get the answer that I need. So that's one way. The second way, which is kind of counterintuitive, is by not using AI. So what are the things that you're going to use actual intelligence instead of artificial intelligence for? So one of the things that we're doing is thinking about what can't really be recreated with AI. And one of the core things I think when it comes to thought leadership is community. So I'm part of several communities, and we create a community for our audience. I think you attended one of our masterminds in Melbourne.
The Asia Pacific one, that was great.
Yeah, and you can't recreate that with AI. It wouldn't be the same if we were all on Zoom calls, just exchanging, like, we're at dinners, we're having jokes over drinks and dinner, and we're doing exercises there. We're sitting in the room, and it's just kind of like, it's not even, I think the most valuable part of those things is not even the event and the actual official event. It's the stuff that happens between, when we're walking to dinner and we're chatting about what's going on in the business, when we're, having a few drinks at night or whatever. So they're the things that AI cannot recreate. And so if we can create that community of like-minded people who get together IRL, I often say IRL is better than URL, right? So
that's a dibism.
That's a dibism. So IRL, I think those experiences are going to become more and more valuable, right? Because we kind of, with COVID, we all went online, digital, Zoom, all of that. Now people are having Zoom fatigue, AI fatigue, digital fatigue, and those experiences are becoming way, way more valuable. So I'm part of several masterminds where I travel all over the world just to meet up with my crew. We catch up. What are we talking? Who's had a new breakthrough? Who's had a new idea? Who's got a challenge? And we work on that for a few days. as mega valuable, because it's not only just sharing the knowledge and sharing the experiences, but often when you're away from the day-to-day, from your normal environment, you start to think quite differently. So they're valuable on multiple fronts. So I'm thinking, what are the things that can't be replicated by AI? And so really implementing that in our programs and in our community so that it becomes hugely valuable to them.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That makes total sense. Absolutely makes total sense. And like, yeah, I've been getting a bit of demand to do an Ask Mark Anything in the real estate sector. And so I'm going to start it inside our business first, because a lot of the questions that I get, we ask people to put their hand up when they're kind of stuck and they don't definitely have a solution. And they've usually workshopped it with another team member. But at some point they go, we should book in a chat with MK or someone else in the business that's senior. And so because I'm building and doing our scaling roadmap and I've got a great CEO and a management team now, it's not practical for me to be constantly responding to text messages and iMessages throughout the day, because a lot of the work I'm doing is quite deep.
Yep.
But when I do get onto the conversations, a lot of it's just reminding people of when we learned something and how we could find that information again, which I'm willing to do. But like, if we could do it even better and use that as the initial tool, which still guides them in the right direction, helps them unpack their own thoughts. And then if we're still genuinely stuck, then we can escalate to book it in the human. But I think I can be of more value to the organization then, because I can get on and use the creativity and the thinking that I've got to actually build out the roadmap that's solving the biggest problems. And these in-between things, it's like, that's great. Thanks so much. Like, everyone's always grateful at the end, even if it's obvious. And I think a lot of people don't even ask a question because they're worried that it's too obvious. So they don't ask it at all and no one gets improved. So we might as well have a tool available that can fill the gaps.
And I think creating the community of like-minded people where, you know, people can associate with people like them, and just especially if you can join a community where you're getting together regularly, you're, you know, sharing challenges, sharing wins, all of those sorts of things, because especially as entrepreneurs, I don't know about you, but a lot of my friends who I grew up with, I love them to death, but is a doctor, is a lawyer, he works for some accounting firm or whatever. And what we do as entrepreneurs is weird. Like we're weirdos, right? And, you know, I could...
Certainly weird to some of my friends in like the trades and engineering industries. They're just like, oh, okay, yeah. So what do you mean you worked 16 hours, 18 hours yesterday?
But it's not even just that. I mean, sharing our challenges is like weird, but also sharing our wins is weird sometimes. Like, especially like in Australia, like there's this tall poppy thing. It's like, you know, a lot of times you just want to keep your wins to yourself. You don't want to look like a wanker or whatever, right? So being able to be in a community where it's okay to share your wins, it's okay to share your challenges, and just, you know, just be open with, because everyone's having a very similar experience to you. Super valuable.
I think so too. And look, you know, that's one of the big things that's sort of grown, you know, AI personal brands that open up coaching, and coaching often has an automatic segue to networks. But you can put them together just like you said for the purposes you're talking about. This is rapid fire that we've got now. I've got a handful of questions. I'll start the sentence and you finish it in your own words. Okay, so the one thing holding most business owners back from using AI isn't the technology, it's
the ability to think clearly.
Okay, I have to ask you now to double click on that. What's the thing that they're struggling to think clearly with?
Garbage in, garbage out. So that's a long held view in computer science. It's like, if you feed it garbage, you're going to get garbage out. So if you put in just a generic prompt, you're going to get a generic output. Like we were talking about context. The reason I put my whole life into my Obsidian database is so I can get personalized context to the AI, and it can give me a better answer.
All right. If you stripped away all of the AI tools tomorrow and you could keep one habit or thing that you could do with AI, what would that one thing be?
Delegating the tasks that are kind of number 10, 11, 12 on my list.
Yeah, and they still get done.
They still get done.
That's great. All right. This is a long-range answer. We might find hard to actually even answer this. The businesses that won't exist in 10 years are the ones that...
Here's my view. I've got kind of a contrarian view on this. So a lot of people are like, you know, AI is going to mean that there's going to be heaps more businesses starting because the barrier to entry is lower. Business is going to keep flooding in. Here's my view. The people who win with AI are the people who are winning before AI. You know, the people who capitalized on the internet, the mobile, on online shopping, you know, on all of these technologies that came in the past. They're now just going to be the people who capitalize on AI. You know, if we were back a couple of 100 years, we'd be talking about, hey, how do we make money with steam engines?
Yeah.
You know, how do we make money with a printing press, right?
Yeah.
So this is exactly the same thing. It's just a new technology. And the funny thing is the rate of entrepreneurship, meaning the percentage of people who are entrepreneurs, has been about the same over the last few hundred years. So like despite the internet, despite mobile, despite social, despite online shopping, the same amount of people pretty much are entrepreneurs, and the same people who were winning before are going to be winning later. So if you're winning right now, you're probably going to be winning with AI. You're probably going to leverage it. You're going to use it in a smart way. And if you haven't been winning, you know, maybe there's a mindset shift to be like, hey, why not? You know, there's been so many revolutionary technologies, and maybe this is the most revolutionary of them all, but you know, the rate of entrepreneurship is going to stay about the same.
Yeah, that is a contrarian take, but I think it all comes back to, you know, how adaptable are you? Because, you know, it's Darwin's theory playing out, and he's been, his theory is pretty old. Okay, so here's one that is right in your wheelhouse. The biggest lie in marketing right now is?
Build it and they will come.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. In one-page marketing plan, and particularly lean marketing, you talked about all these brand agencies. You got to build your brand, and like what up against Macca's and Coca-Cola. Man, why don't you make sales? Because that's a good form of building a brand, and it's a good way of measuring your marketing's working, right?
Yeah, I mean, so many people have been sucked in by Simon Sinek, who says, "Hey, start with why," and I say, no, forget about why. Your grandma and your best friend care about your why. Start with buy. How can we get someone to actually buy something that you're doing, and figure out, does the market actually want what you're selling?
Yeah, that's great. And look, your tool that's going to be available for our listeners and viewers that are still here, that is going to help them build their one-page marketing plan, which has that shit in it, right? Okay, that's a great gift. Okay, my advice to the version of me that was starting out today, now that AI is around, would be?
Well, whether AI is around or not, my advice would be the same. It's just like, get shit done. Just do the stuff. Do the daily, weekly, monthly, boring stuff. That's how you win. With or without AI.
Yeah, okay, I love it. Allan Dib, thanks for coming in for the emergency urgent episode that everyone's been asking for. I think you're my first returning guest.
Amazing.
That's saying something. And mate, this has been big value. So yeah, everyone listening, make sure that you check out the show notes. There's going to be some links to Allan's free AI tool that's going to help you deliver your own one-page marketing plan, and you can connect with more of your resources off the back of that too.
Amazing.
Thanks, Allan.
Cool to hang out with you, Mark.
Yes.